Well, what can we do to make our communities better? How can we help? And how can we be helped to create places where we feel safe and valued? Questions like these motivated my wife and I to make a tremendous leap of faith in 1999. I was working in Washington, D.C. for the Economic Research Service, which is part of the USDA Department of Agriculture, when we made the remarkable decision to relocate our family to Northeast Minnesota. I had lived here when I was younger, and I had developed just a really deep love for the people here. Of all the reasons we came back, the one that was absolutely most compelling is we wanted to come back to see if maybe we could help. Well, many years have gone by since then, so I find myself wondering more and more, have we actually accomplished what we set out to do? And also, what have I learned about the process of building and connecting? I think I have learned a few lessons. When I came back, I had what might be described as the expert mindset. I had studied for many years about initiatives that could help remote areas like ours. But as the years have passed, I have learned to question how much we can rely on just the expert mindset to make progress. I now believe that progress is very much dependent on helping individuals believe that we all have something of great value to contribute to our communities. When people know this, they will accomplish amazing things that no expert could have directed or even anticipated. I think that Socrates, of all people, understood this. He believed that there is inner life in all of us, but that inner life is often veiled. A teacher, in his viewpoint, was one who could draw this inner life out of others and bring it to light. So this means, to him, that a teacher is really more like a midwife. A midwife is absolutely an expert, but she's more than that. She's patient, and she's caring, and she understands that every person that she works with is unique. Now, this is quite a different foundation to build teaching and leading on than just the expert mindset. I love the phrase in Spanish for giving birth. It is dar a luz, which literally translates as to give to the light. I don't know of any better metaphor for teaching than midwifery. A mentor of mine, the late Dr. H. Charles Romsberg, described the inner life that we all have as great goodness. And I absolutely love that phrase. And then he said that great goodness is the highest quality that each of us is capable of producing and sharing with the world. As an economist, I can say that the cost-benefit analysis of midwifery teaching, where we're striving to bring out great goodness, is heavily weighted to the benefit side. And yet we struggle to see this. Programs in higher education and all kinds of education, actually, like music, art, theater, the humanities, programs that had traditionally encouraged learners to draw upon their inner life, have been de-emphasized. Communities, especially communities that are more rural, increasingly struggle to keep this quest for great goodness alive. So how do we counter these trends? For me, a good starting point is to be very clear about the distinction between innovation and creativity. Innovation starts with developing reliable knowledge in multiple areas. Now, these areas could be anything that we're interested in learning about. Rocket science, logging and mining, making pizza. As we combined these areas of knowledge, this is, in fact, innovation. Innovation forms a new triangle, which can then be used as a reference for innovation as it occurs over and over again. Well, the expert mindset is very good at innovation. But Socrates and others would have been disappointed if we stopped here with human progress. He believed that there is a space beyond this, a space where we combine what we rationally know with that great goodness that is within all of us. Now, this is creativity, and we desperately need this to happen for much of our progress to occur. When my family and I moved to Minnesota, we were in this creator space. I like to call this space the diamond of awareness. Socrates would help his learners uncover the diamond by engaging them in a series of questions. Well, I've come to believe strongly in a complementary approach. A midwifery teacher can inspire leaning into our inner life by sharing stories of how they have done that very thing. This is not a new approach, it's not revolutionary, but I think it's been too narrowly applied. When midwifery teachers set the example, they give their learners permission to do the same. Well, this is not easy. It's not easy at all. Many learners are so conditioned to being in a restrained, confined, imposed learning space that they're reluctant to walk through an open door to a creative learning space. They struggle to set their great goodness free, or even to recognize they have it. And we have to be honest that some people will actively resist it. Nevertheless, it absolutely needs to occur. As I have worked hard to become a better midwifery teacher, the rewards have been just immense for me. For example, some years ago, I gave students a project option where they could start a micro business. And one student really caught the vision of creativity. Her family had gone through just a horrible tragedy, not that long before she became one of my students. And a healing activity for her family was to go to the extreme northeast part of Minnesota and to hunt for moose antler sheds, which she would then sell on the internet on various platforms. So this venture became the focus of her course project, and I could not have been more pleased. Well, at the end of the semester, she offered me a gift. It was, in fact, a moose antler that she had found that season. And I can tell you that I will never part with this diamond from a one-of-a-kind student. The variations of her story have been repeated for me many times over as I've worked to become more of a midwifery teacher and not just an expert teacher. When great goodness like this is created, it attracts more goodness. When creators find one another, they form what Dr. Romsberg referred to as a creative supermind. Creative superminds can radically alter everything that we thought was possible. They might exist for decades, even generations, and sometimes maybe only about as long as an ice crystal might persist. I'd like to tell you about 3 superminds that I've been able to be part of recently. One began when I met Don. Don and I met each other when some of us were organizing a fundraising event to help support his daughter Ashley, who had volunteered to serve as a nurse for orphaned and abandoned children in Romania. When we met each other, Don said he would like to paint pictures that we could auction at the fundraiser. I didn't really know what to expect. But when I visited him at his home, I was astonished. I learned that this humble man is an extraordinary artist. However, he said to me that he had set his artistry aside for several years. But the encouragement to help support his daughter was very instrumental in helping him to resurrect that great goodness within him. So Don did in fact create 2 very beautiful paintings for our event, and he has not stopped creating since. A year or 2 after Ashley's event, a musician with local ties contacted the college, and he said that he would like to come and do a musical presentation. And he was going to come in about a week. And he said it would really be great if you could have a backup band ready for me. Well, our administration contacted me and said, will you do it? Well, one person I thought of asking was Susan. Susan worked in our business office. And like Don, she was very quiet. But I knew that she had been a musician. So I asked her if she'd be willing to be in the backup band with me. She replied that she had not played live for 14 years. But thankfully, she agreed. Not long after the event, Susan retired. And she started doing something that completely astonished me. She began composing music at a rate that was unbelievable. She currently has nearly 200 songs on SoundCloud and other platforms. She has participated in international songwriting and competitions and won awards in those competitions. She collaborates with musicians and vocalists from all across the United States and even far beyond. I can hardly imagine the loss in my life if I had not been in a creative supermind with her. Finally, I'd like to introduce you to another friend of mine. Her name is Anna Karina. She's an artist who is originally from Hibbing, Minnesota, and she currently lives in Minneapolis. In 2016, she made a proposal to me. She said, you start writing a song, send me a few measures, and I will paint with what I feel based on your music. Then you write a few more measures, send them to me, and I'll paint some more. And we'll continue doing this until your song is complete. And I said, well, that sounds like a great idea, except for one thing. I've never written a song in my life. Well, she expressed her confidence in me, so how could I say no? Anna Karina drew life out of me that I didn't know I had. And the 2 of us formed a creative supermind, leading to this beautiful painting, which is so fittingly titled, The Dawn of My Awakening. We might think that our work and our connections are devoid of creative potential, but this is not so. This is not so. You might recall some words from the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. when he said, if a man is called to be a street sweeper, he should sweep streets, even as a Michelangelo painted, or Beethoven composed music, or Shakespeare wrote poetry. He should sweep streets so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will pause to say, here lived a great street sweeper who did his job well. Great goodness is our common heritage. We all have it. When we connect with one another on this plane, creative superminds form to build bridges and to create beauty beyond anything that we can foresee. The world absolutely needs experts, but I have become convinced that our greater need now is for more midwifery teachers so that we can more fully realize the great goodness that is within all of us as individuals and as communities. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.